just not ready. Hi guys, we're back, or hey, welcome to our Project Spark live dev stream. Only 63 minutes late to actually start. We had some all kinds of crazy issues, and just as things happen. But anyways, so what we want to do, we're just gonna kind of mess around here with the build we have up there now, and we're gonna kind of start running through the information about the World Builders Pack. Stop dragging this out and make you guys wait more. Although the anticipation is supposed to make it even better, right? No? So, Henry, tell me, what is the Massive World Builders Pack? What is the goal? What are you trying to do? Like, what is this thing? Why is it in the starter pack? And what were you trying to solve? What were we trying to help, our creators for? Or who is it for?
Sure. So, I mean, ultimately, it's for everyone. I think we're having some build problems because it looks like we're running even slow here. Ultimately, the Massive World Builders Pack is for everyone. But the idea behind it essentially is, we talked about this a while ago, is that we wanted everybody to sort of have a very stable development environment, a very user-friendly from the top level dev environment. But as people began making more and more complicated games, they started asking for, and we started seeing the need for things like level linking. I'll hand this over to Jared and see if we can get any community games to run a little faster, but we're having some PC problems here. So they're asking for things like level linking and some of these more advanced features that not just were more powerful, but they also sort of, maybe they required a little bit more tinkering, or maybe they required a little bit more than like a surface level game, right? They wanted to go really deep. Somebody wanted to make multiple dungeons that linked into things. So the idea behind it is, well, these are pretty core features. They took a lot of time and a lot of an investment, and they're really powerful. But in the same vein, they're not sort of in the kind of core pack. So the reason why that they have their own pack is some of those reasons. But I think the thing that's really important is the key features are that we do allow you to level link. At its surface, it's pretty simple to level link a level together, but Jared was going to demonstrate some crazy stuff around you can bring enemies with you between levels, you can bring different props, different states, you can basically sort of make your own checkpoints and continue points out of the level linking, so there's a real amount of depth and complexity there if you want to dive super deep into it. And we've spent a lot of time and a lot of resources investing in making those features rich. The next big thing that everybody's been asking about is, how do I make bigger worlds and how do I put more things in my world? So as part of the Massive World Builder Pack, you'll be able to place 20% more props, and you'll be able to, well, what we've done technically is we've changed, this level just looks so amazing. What we've done technically is we've sort of recalibrated how voxels are computed and how they count against the terrain mapping, and we've increased the amount of terrain that you can add. So you'll essentially be able to do double. We have some tests here that say it's even more than double, but we feel confident to say that you'll get the ability to do double the amount of terrain in your game. Now, with all of these sort of features, comes a bit of, again, more sort of in-depth knowledge. Another big feature that a lot of the community had been asking for was the ability to do day and night cycles in real time and change sun setting and things like that. Zach is messaging.
Oh, you can double jump, by the way.
So
we're bad at this game.
Well, the frame rate's not helping.
The frame rate's not
whatever's
helping.
going on with this computer. I think Mike is processing like BitTorrent files or something in the background. So what you can do now is via code, you're able to actually swap out the skybox in real time, change the sun setting, change the sun position, and the visual filters. So you can basically create a night and day cycle. You can do a whole bunch of really cool trippy stuff in real time. Jared had a great demo where you walk over to a campfire and you can actually see the game sort of perpetuate through the time. So it's super cool. So when you wrap all of these things together, the power to make deeper, richer, longer experiences and more epic games is definitely there for all the creators. But it also does bring a lot more finesse and a lot more nuance, and you want to have a lot more just a lot more kind of patience with some of the features.
So is it a little more, would you say it's more complex?
It is a little more complex for sure.
One of the things that we get a lot of feedback from, and we hear it from our community people as well, like both the community, the CAG and just everybody on the forums that are play itself, like they say that their friends are trying it or other people, and they say it's kind of tough, and it's where things like Mescad's tutorial videos and other things really help. And that's something, it's a robust tool set overall, but the goal of Project Spark is to make it as easy as possible to get people in. So that's something we take really seriously, and we're working on lots of ways and working with our community to find out lots of ways to help people get up. Now the thing is, you add in the massive world builder pack, and this is now almost like another level of complexity. So it's one of those things that we want to be, we got to be careful, and it's not necessarily something we want everybody to immediately jump in and try. We want them to kind of get the basics first.
Right, but one of the things that does go along with the massive world builder pack, because we knew that was important, and for some reason our chat window is not updating, or everybody left, is that it also comes with the ability to have some performance debug tools. So, have you ever wondered, do you have too many effects in your scene? Do you have a lot of brains that are firing? What type of things are actually going on in your level? Well, when you're in test, and only, in the test mode, so when you're working on something, you can have either a basic or an advanced level of performance debug. The basic level just puts up some icons on the screen. It changes its colors when those areas sort of become more intensive. And then the advanced mode actually puts some bars and some meters and some percentage graphs on there, so you can start to get an idea of, hey, if this thing is running in all green, it's going to run well pretty much across the Project Spark spectrum of platform support. And if it starts running in yellow and it starts running in red, it's going to start getting a little bit hotter for some of those other platforms. In live.
Yep.
Sweet. There's something wrong with this PC.
Yep.
So that sort of wraps up all of those features. But at the end of the day, the results are, if you want to have one super big world, you can do that. If you want to throw more props into your world and just have the world just be richer and have a lot more depth to it, you can go ahead and do that. If you want to start getting into level linking and transporting people around the different levels and carrying statuses and RPG levels and things like that and progression in your games through, you can go ahead and you can do that. And then time of day and some of the other cool stuff is exposed. And at the end of it all, we give you the tools to sort of make sure that all the stuff you want is as performant as you want it to be.
So let me recap. So you said that level linking and really fully, I mean, we'd say fully functioning level linking, right? Or
yeah, it's pretty. I mean, we always look at sort of.
There's more we could probably do.
More we could do, but at the end of the day, we use it for Champions Quest. We're able to bring your progress across and checkpoint you. So if you get to 1-3, you can just start off right there, or you can start over new. You can build your own hub worlds, like what's her name was building with Spark City.
Lady Laren?
Lady, yep.
Yeah.
You could do that. You can link into.
That made me so happy to hear that. That was so awesome.
You can link into sort of your own, hey, this could be my little top 10 of the week feed, right? Or Zach, instead of just doing a static featured list in the front menu, maybe we build a world and we put our featured list in this little world hub.
Right.
Promote your friends' levels by doing that. There's just a lot of power between the level linking. We found things where you can do some really cool. The showcase, this level is amazing.
I put it in Zen mode, so I can't die because I was dying too much in the other.
The showcase that we include with the massive world builder pack has a really cool thing where you transfer into one world, you rescue a squirrel, and then you sort of transfer back, and it just gives you a great idea on how you can even transfer somebody to a different part in the same world. So there's a whole bunch of that type of stuff that you can do.
Oh, and in the same level too.
Yes. So even within the same level, you can bring them back to a different spot and level. So one of the demos that Ari had going was he walked into a tower, level linked inside, and it was a spiral, got to the top, and then went back to the original level at the top of the tower.
Now,
so that's some of the power that's there.
Shane here had a question, and this is something I was talking with somebody about. Maybe it was Jared. Like months ago, we were talking about like basically level linking versus something that people want is like the save states in the game.
Right.
And so we don't have save states.
We do not have just a completely anytime autonomous save state. That's correct.
Right, but isn't there some way you can do something that, like I thought we theorized some way that you could use level linking to do something along those lines?
basically, yeah, I mean, Jared can talk through it more, but if you link to a level and you basically set up a thing that saves things, or are we still calling it the bag or whatever?
The bag.
But basically, if you transfer things or statuses over to that next level, so let's say you made a giant overworld and a dungeon, and then I went into the dungeon and I got an epic sword and I fought 50 enemies, which gave me XP, I can then kind of checkpoint back into that world just in the dungeon.
Yeah, basically, you can the same method that lets you send objects and data between worlds. You can use that same system to save some objects and data, so that you can quit and go to bed and wake up tomorrow and keep playing at the same place you left off. Go for it. You want to restart, maybe, so you can do not Zen.
Yeah, I want to see you actually try.
But yeah, it's super cool because what that allows you to is if you have a sequence of, say, 5 levels that are all linked together, and it takes maybe like 5 hours to play through your whole epic campaign that you've built, then it lets people kind of finish the first 2 levels, quit and save, and then restart where at the beginning of the level that they had last made it to. So it's kind of like we automatically checkpoint all the information for you that you're sending between worlds. Some data, I mean, in theory you could save all 3,000 objects that are in your world and all the variables that you have. The way you save everything is through a kind of interface similar to global variables. So you put that global tile in front of an object or a number or text or whatever, and then it makes it a global variable. We have another tile that in the Massive World Builder pack called Campaign, that you put that in front of any variable you want, and then that will get saved as you go between levels and saved as part of your kind of like save point, checkpoint data.
I just, we were
And
talking
they're
about
much
that, I'm
cooler
like, that's
to
so
see.
awesome.
Yes, and it's much cooler to see some of the examples. Jared had some absolutely brilliant examples.
Yeah,
I spent all day getting them ready.
Yeah, we got some stuff that will be super cool to show when we can actually not run into the same technical difficulties that we ran into today.
As you can see, our build is still semi-slow here.
Okay, so that's level linking. Wait, what was the last update we gave on where we think leaderboards fit in the roadmap?
They're sometime after.
Post-release.
They're sometime after October 7th. We don't have it like necessarily prioritized exactly when versus everything else that's after that.
Because everybody's busy right now trying to.
We're getting everything done for October 7th, and then we'll kind of plan everything past that point.
And we haven't forgotten about things like terrain tinting and stuff like that too.
Yeah, terrain tinting, leaderboards. There's a number of things we know we want to get to.
Yeah, so we have that, and now what about like one of the things we talk about terrain in Massive World Builders Pack? Is there going to be any change there? Is
we mentioned, I think, already the terrain. So it's like what we listed. There's like 5 features to Massive World Builder Pack. We already talked about level linking a good bit. Save points, kind of saving data between levels. Increased terrain limit, so you have double the previous terrain that you have.
So that's what I was trying to. I was going to pin you guys down on. Like, so how much?
Well,
right?
like I said,
so you think up to double?
We've changed the way the voxels are actually calculated. So for anybody who has gone underneath a world and seen that there's a bunch of voxels underneath, and then spent some time carving it out and saw the terrain meter not go down because the voxels above it were still sort of counting, we've actually changed the way that works. So it was difficult to quantify what additional bump that would give it, but we do know that in general we will be getting double.
Yeah.
So double plus whatever sort of extra wild card this new computation brings to the voxel schema.
Right. It's like to be super technical for those of you who want to go there, it's like we've doubled the amount of memory that we'll allocate towards the like terrain voxels. So, and then we've also made it more efficient to like store that information. So it might end up being a little bit more than double. I can't quantify the rest of it very well.
Right.
But so it's double the terrain and 500 additional props that you can add to your world, which is 20%. Previously, your limit was 2,500. It's now 3,000 props total. And then there's more than that even in when you get into play mode. We always reserve 500 props to be created in play mode instead of there in as you're creating. There's the performance stat stuff that kind of tells you how many effects are in your world as you're testing it, how many objects, how many brains are running, how many tiles are executing within those brains.
And so the story here is like, is that just in general, or is it? Because one of the things we see is a lot of people that will be developing. Usually, it's people on PC
Yeah.
And they may not have an Xbox One yet,
Yeah.
although I don't know why they haven't run out and buy one. But and then they make
Oh,
a
that
game.
Master Chief Pack's going to make it very
That's
tempting.
true.
Yeah.
And then they make something, but they aren't able to test it. And that's so. Do you see this helping that scenario?
Yeah. So one of the way that the performance stats work is they'll show you the number. All right, this is how many effects are playing. This is how many brains are running in your world. And I think there's 11 numbers or something around there, right around there, maybe that tell you what's happening in your world, and they're all set up to be green when they're not affecting your performance negatively. But once they start affecting it, they'll change to yellow and then red and kind of fade in between all of that. And those are all tuned so that they'll help you understand how your game is going to perform across different platforms. So maybe you're building on your beast gaming rig and you can handle everything, but then for other people playing on tablets or console or something like that, they might not be able to have their levels perform the same as you. So it'll turn colors based on what we expect everybody would want the performance to be. Does that helps? So you'll be able to understand how your game will play for other people, even if you don't have an Xbox or don't have a tablet or something like that.
Now, I like to always play dumb. I don't know this, but I think we also did quadruple the triangles allowed for a train.
That's part of
calculation.
The calculation, yeah. The calculation efficiencies is in the memory we allocate.
Jesse just typed it in chat. I was just trying to seem smart.
Okay.
I figured you guys would call me right. Like, what? What are you reading? Sometimes, like when Henry's not on the stream, he's in chat, and it's like almost like a teleprompter, and I'm just saying everything Henry's typing in. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So while we're on the subject of tinting, I'm going to bring up, why can I not get up here?
I don't know, man. You just double jump.
I know. Something that you'll see in the next update. I can't get up here. There we go.
Oh.
Something that you'll see in the next update is, in the last update we talked about some things we had to do for the UGC, some sounds that people had to redo. I know. Some sounds that people had to redo, and a couple other things that definitely were an inconvenience. But they ultimately were moving the product forward, and they had things working sort of the way we intended from the very beginning, or in a way that would be much, much more beneficial and stable in the future. One of the things that will be changed in the QFE update that will need some attention from the creators to look at too is we're changing the way tinting works. Now I don't know what that's up my jumping timing. It's pretty bad right there. We're changing the way tinting works, not tilting. So if anybody who's tried to tint like a gold coin and they just tried to give it a blue tint, they realize that it kind of came out brown because it still took the underlying property. That's actually going to work correctly now. And
you're specifically talking about icons, I believe.
Icons,
right?
Correct, yes.
Yeah, so this is tinting when you're making your own custom user interface and you're trying to tint, you're like displaying some object or an icon that has a color already. We changed the way that works so that it won't blend the colors that you tell it with the original colors. It'll actually display it in the color that you write in code there.
Right, so the cool news is that it'll display correctly, much better, the right way. The bad news is you will have to go through some of your levels for icons that you may have color tinted that'll now be grayscale or have some other kind of wonkiness with it. But ultimately, it's a significantly more powerful and stable way to do it.
Yeah, it's definitely more flexible than it was before.
But there isn't really any option to blend the old way, so they have to start doing it the new way.
Correct. Yeah.
Correct. But I mean, you can change your color scale pretty extensively.
Right. If you were blending yellow and blue to get brown before, now you just have to say brown.
Right. Exactly. And again, another thing that would probably make things a lot more user-friendly to people just coming in. But unfortunately, we understand it's a bit of a pain for you guys and appreciate, updating the levels or, just bearing with us when we make some of these changes.
Yeah, we expected more people will actually use the coloring icons now than before because people wouldn't use it before because they didn't understand why the icons looked the weird colors they would end up being. So it'll just be better overall.
So I just want to be all 60 minutes here. So what you guys are saying is that Minecraft Max, who had his system for using blending to get exactly what he wants, will be happy with this change and he'll be able to do everything he wants now. Once he gets past changing his grayscale ones.
After he updates what he had before, he'll be happy.
Okay, so he'll be able to get the performance he wants. The results he wants on screen now with the new system.
It's sort of like that bike with the rusty wheel.
And you got used to it.
And you got used to it, and you got used to the sound and how hard you had to pedal. And then sort of the wheel gets greased, and all of a sudden you're going faster, but you just miss that sound for a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that's what will.
It can feel like that to people who've been around for a while in beta.
Minecraft Max, like you heard that, so let me know if you find that to be untrue, so I can come back and totally load it with these guys and go, you said this, so that'll be fun.
Mike would never do that every couple hours.
I never do
every
that.
couple hours, leaving voicemails.
The Master World Builder Pack, doesn't it also have some sharing slots in it?
Yes, I believe it's 3.
Yeah.
Hold on, if only somebody was prepared and had like an email
statement
ready.
or something.
Yeah, so there's that's
that.
also part of the disc, the starter kit. When you,
Oh wait,
when you
that's
get
a schedule.
Is a couple more
Oh, Mike had the schedule.
sharing
You
slots
heard it right
too.
there.
Oh, wrong way.
You have the schedule.
Wrong way.
Is it the wrong way?
Don't do it. Oh
No,
god, it's
that's
too
fine.
late. Okay.
No, it's fine.
Okay, cool.
I'm pretty sure.
3 additional upload slots to help you link more worlds together.
Yeah.
We need Mike to go not 1,
Not one,
not 2.
not 2,
And
but
if you call
3.
now, and if you call now,
If you pre-order right now,
you get
will
the
get
super Tinty Shammy
yes.
update as well.
Okay, what else? So we talked about the props. What else? I feel like there's more here.
You get an incredibly spiffy showcase level to show all of your friends.
Yeah, there's a good showcase level with it that it'll be a great kind of starter kit as you're trying to figure out how level linking works. We intentionally did some specifically somewhat complex things with level linking in the showcase level, so that
Spikes rely.
it'll be easy to figure out how to do more advanced stuff too. We send a character back and forth between worlds alongside your player. You can pick up weapons and stuff in the showcase world and go back and forth, as well as I'm trying to think what else. We have multiple doors between worlds, like Henry was talking about, that shows you how to set that up. So yeah.
For all this great functionality, you would expect to pay $200 or $300 or $400, but no, it's all yours for the price of whatever the full starter pack is, which I believe is $39.99. Available now. Pre-order. You should pre-order, guys.
Yeah.
Really.
At your favorite retailer.
Yeah, it's your favorite retailer.
And I think I saw people were asking about whether the Master World Builder Pack would be available individually. I don't actually know the answer to that question.
I know.
We'll have to look that one up.
Yeah, I mean, basically, it was always our plan to have these things available individually. But I haven't checked with Jason Power and our team to make sure specifically it's there day one. So I don't want to say that. I know that it was our goal, but I got to tell you, I know everything that's in the starter pack, and I just think I really would be surprised if anybody doesn't just buy the starter pack. I think there's a lot of really good value there, so I think you guys will look at that.
No.
Oof.
This is going to be tough.
Yeah, I don't know if you're going to be able to pass it now.
What if, and those were already paid for every DLC.
So little suggestion for whoever made this level: if you die at a checkpoint, reset the like blocks you push around too.
Yeah, well, that would be helpful. I actually got through it probably messing stuff up and still did okay.
So,
So if there's workarounds, I think.
I think there's only a couple things that are in the starter pack that you may have already had. You can probably fix that by changing the.
Yeah, I mean,
energy.
there's a couple DLC packs that are already out that are included in it, but then Champions Quest and the Massive World Builder Pack are. I'm trying to think. I don't have the list of everything that's in the starter pack in front of me.
I do. Well, now you do. Wait. It's right here.
Lost
The first contact sci-fi, the first sci-fi pack is going to be new.
Which is big. That comes with the new character.
Yeah, that's
you
like
guys have seen the new biome.
right. It's the sci-fi pack is kind of the biggest pack we've ever done as far as content. It's kind of like if you combined Desert and Keys to the Castle in one pack.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways, right? The sci-fi pack is that new. It's a real theme. It's a new look for Project Spark. So I mean, I think you could argue it's almost like a new game, so to speak. So that is a big value. Plus, Champion Quest.
The stuff that's already out, you might have Hawken already, you might have the Yeti, and you might have the Arctic biome, but I think all the other stuff that is new still adds up to the same price as the disc. I think I'm not sure off the top of my head.
Yeah, no, I think all the stuff new is certainly would still cost more separately than if you bought it in the pack. It also comes with a month of Spark Premium as well.
Yeah, which you can make really valuable if you get a bunch of credits and then buy a bunch of other DLC.
And and also good news from our hardworking service team in like the I don't know if it's live now or if it's live with the QFE, but you'll finally be able to do some stacking of your Spark Premium.
Yeah, as of October 7th, you'll be able to, if you already have Premium, you'll be able to buy another, to extend it beyond what you already have.
Right, so no longer will you have to worry about, okay, on this day I got to make sure I go ahead. It's like you can, you know, buy 10 years of it and it'll stack up and you'll have it 10 years from now.
And if you do decide to buy 10 years of it, Mike should write you a handwritten thank you.
Yeah. And Henry and I will probably still be here doing the streams, while Zach and Jared will probably be corporate VPs running everything.
And I'll still never know which build we're going to be using for the stream.
Things will not change.
Oh, this was a good one here. This one. Oh.
So Sir Green Day has a good question. Something I always like to rib Jared about.
What's that?
So is the level caps raising with
We're going to kill him.
project, like the level cap going up?
Wait, we need a moment of silence. I'm going to kill him.
Not for release.
So what's your tell us your thoughts on that?
Moment of silence.
Yeah. But like, I mean,
I killed the narrator. Have some respect.
Oh, way to kill the narrator. Jeez. I'm trying to put Jared on the spot.
I mean, I expect that we will increase the level cap beyond 50 at some point. There's some other things we want to do with leveling up to make it more meaningful that we haven't had a chance to do just yet.
I constantly enjoy the challenges at the low level, so I keep advocating prestiging.
Yeah, we're considering a few different options on whether maybe we let you reset your Spark level and redo all of your challenges after you get to level 50, and maybe give you some bonus at that point, like an extra sharing slot or something when you reset it. But we haven't ironed out exactly what those plans will be just yet. Or maybe we raise it up to level 60 and we add some more credit unlock items in the process there. Whatever makes sense when we're ready to kind of take a stab at that.
I'm not spoiling his secret.
So yeah, but I think the main thing is there's a lot of, like, you just think, hey, let's just make it higher, make it 60, make it 100. And that's something like somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about would just suggest, like me, I do it all the time, like, Jared, can we just make it 100? It'll solve so many problems. and Jared, like, can go in and explain, like, there's a lot of thought and a lot going into this, into the, like how it plays into the whole progression system and credits and everything else. And I think we know what you guys want. We want to make sure that you're continuing to earn and be rewarded, and Jared has a bazillion type of ideas there that we're looking at, and so that's kind of what we're looking at when and that may or may not be part of it, is raising the level cap, but there's a lot of options there. Right,
and it's something like we only have so much time in the day, so right now my focus the past 2 months has been almost exclusively on Massive World Builder Pack and some of the challenge updates and lineage system stuff we did with Hippo going out the door.
Minecraft Max wants the milestones balanced better. If he can
if
he can send us a screenshot of where his milestones are, we can get a good idea of what is not attainable.
So do we want to just we can start a thread on the forums for people just to link to a screenshot somewhere that shows where it is and get a lot of different data points, so whenever you have time to go look at it, will that be helpful? Like, what would help the most, Jared, rather than just have everybody emailing me screenshots?
Emailing you screenshots is fine.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it's fine with you. Let me type in Jared's alias right here so you guys can click. And here's his home address.
It's a shame.
Phone number.
You can, if you guys have any thoughts on that, I said before at one point if you notice like challenge bugs, but if you have any suggestions or feedback on the balance of challenges too, you can tweet at me, and I'll read those anytime anybody does that about Project Spark at me. So otherwise, I do read the forums as well. So if there's a particular thread on leveling up or challenges or lineage stuff, contribution value, any particular things like that, I'm always looking for those threads on the forums as well.
I was gonna say I'm gonna roll the dice here and see what we know what we were making.
Oh right, this was your World Wizard thing you were doing at the beginning of the stream.
Yeah.
Well, anybody out there have any other big questions about the Massive World Builder Pack?
Other than what it looks like.
Other than what it looks like, because we'll have to make a little.
We think it's better that you use your imagination to really envision what.
Prove that you need.
So this is a silly question. While we wait for Twitch to load, can you save assemblies, like assembly states? Like if you mess with an assembly, and be like, oh, take over this glued object or this assembly to this next level. So the assemblies don't really exist during play mode or test mode. So by the time you get there, they're either a glued object,
right,
or they're some sort of a set of objects that are attached to each other, or they're just a bunch of separate objects.
Right. Absolutely.
So if you had a campaign variable like an object set that contained all the pieces of the assembly, then yes, you could in the next world you can write the line of K code that would say create like for each of the pieces of that object set, create each one of them, and it would bring everything that was in the original level over to the next one. So if you need to do that with like a big custom airplane or something complex like that, that's definitely possible.
So I have something I want to yell at. I think Henry's gonna duck it to Reeb, but right now you go into the properties and there are certain naming conventions for things like your speed, like ground speed and stuff.
Yeah.
And then on tiles, there's different ones.
Yeah.
And so if, say, hypothetically, you were somebody who made a lot of video tutorials to teach people.
Yeah, no, that's all Reed's fault. No, I mean, the short and the long of it is sort of had two kind of groups working on it, and assemblies of the same thing, and we are trying to shore up the nomenclature and the naming conventions around stuff.
There's already some stuff that we're doing better on in title update here.
That's true.
But I don't think we've actually had a chance to catch those just yet.
No, and frankly, it is tricky to keep up with them all. So there's some legacy things that we'd have to dig out from a little bit.
Yeah.
But that is a good comment.
Yeah, definitely. We plan to make those more consistent in the future.
So is there, I mean, do we already know about them, or is there something where these guys, if they gave a list, would that help, or is that really a question for you?
I mean,
This build is so slow.
if there's a specific list
I have the flying
somewhere of terms that people know we're inconsistent about, that somebody wants to maintain on like a wiki or something like that, that would be helpful.
Okay. So we'll see. Well, we'll make sure we do it, because at least that way we know what's
what kind of
there.
terrain did you build?
Yeah, what did you do there?
What, here?
That.
Yeah.
This thing? So this was a trick that Rusty taught me that was pretty epic. So if you go in here and you just like make a sphere, right? And say you do like this, let's put it somewhere good.
Yeah.
Put it up here, and then you apply it, and then you shrink it down just a bit, and then you hit the left trigger.
A little bit bigger, probably.
Then it'll kind of hold it out like that.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's an easy way to decorate things. The other thing we've added too is, it's pretty subtle, but it'll be in the title update, is the analog zones actually work now on sculpting on the expand in a road. So basically what that means is if you set your intensity to like 100 and you just pull the trigger 50%, you'll actually still get 50% intensity. So full down will be 100 just like you want, but you'll have way more finite control over your sculpting because you'll be able to use the analog triggers now.
Cool. All right, I think we might be running out of new things to talk about here.
This is true.
Oh, sorry. Now that they were just talking about changing, like in, and this is something I we have so much free time. I wanted to kind of bring up with you guys, and I'm sure, like everything, you guys have already thought about it. But they're talking about changing your character's clothing in play mode, right?
Yeah.
Character Studio is only available in edit. Right?
Yeah.
And obviously, and I was trying to give them a cheap answer, but they didn't fall for it. Where I was like, well, you know what? You could just swap out that character with somebody else who's dressed differently, and kind of be a poor man's hack to do that. But it's not the same,
There's
right?
a little bit of a pop, and I mean, you can put an effect in there to hide it.
So here's my question: like, what thought have we given to, especially with a lot of the players now that we're really starting to get in, partially due to the great levels that are there. Like when we show it off at PAX or SDCC or at the GameStop event, we see a lot of people like, wow, these games are now fun. Like overall, it's really getting to the point that people are stopping and trying these things out.
Getting impressed by the stuff.
So with these players coming in, one of the biggest things that people like to do is customize their characters.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is there any plans to figure out some easy way to let assemblies or built-in creation head start tools or something to let creators be able to do that?
It's something we've talked about. We kind of ran into it's not a tech issue or why we stopped where we're at today. It's kind of a design issue that we ran into of you can't equip all clothing to all characters. So if you tried to if in a brain of an object, if you said like this character put on like putting a guy's piece of clothing on a girl, or like a brute's piece of clothing on an athletic character, or goblin clothing on a human, any number of those things, like the line of code in the brain wouldn't actually do anything. It would just fail silently, and you would have no like reason to know why it didn't work. So we need to find a way to solve that problem, because it would turn out at the end of the day that only maybe 20% of the combinations of lines of code you could write would actually function. So we want to give you some more help in how that would work in K-code, and we just haven't figured out from the design side how we do that just yet. So it's something we're giving some thought to, and it's one of the many things post-release we want to give more thought to.
So you're forcing gender norms in clothing on us. Is that what you're saying, Jared? Sparkergate.
Yeah,
way to go.
Somebody's going to take that way out of context.
Yeah,
and then,
there you go. And that's how it all begins. Way to go, Mescad. You know, that's got. You see, you're just changing. It's not like Mescad style is going to be when you jam somebody up with some, kind of bad context quote or something instead of making helpful tutorials. So there you have it. Was the problem an increase since closed beta?
It is with the massive world builder pack.
No, but
the,
I think
the rest of it hasn't changed.
I think the question was, when we way back like December. I think weren't we originally at like 2000? Like maybe that was just an alpha, and then we went to.
Yeah, it hasn't changed since
It was like
public
1750,
players.
and then I went to like 2000.
But that was all before.
Yeah.
Am I thinking
update.
Alpha?
Yeah, that was alpha.
That was alpha. I think.
Okay. Well, some people here are still here from Alpha, believe it or not.
Yeah, so some people might be aware of that. All like 8 of you.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I think it was only it wasn't that many really, but surprising how many are still around. Clothing as separate props, not attached to any character.
You mean like shields and making everything else kind of behave more like shields and some of those like crown things do.
They have patch animation, which would be
Right. I mean, it's more performant and like easier to sync up with animation to do it the way we currently have. But yeah, I don't know what more to say on that. I mean,
I hadn't even really thought about it, so I think it's kind of a.
I have seen some people asking questions about like good questions that I don't know that we're talking about necessarily doing any of this particular functionality, but being able to equip just like one glove on one hand and then a different glove on the other one, or 2 different boots, or kind of like turning on and off like elements of certain clothing options, like take the belt off of the guy's chest or different pieces like that might be possible. I don't know where that sits after release here. Features like that.
Yeah, I don't know. Like to me, that doesn't seem like as critical as, hey, look at all these things from the game. I'd love to be able to use them to make my, I don't know, clothesline in my backyard game that I'm making. Right? I want to hang clothes. So I could see some situations like that where people might, because they're always thirsty for more things to use to cobble together to make whatever they want.
Or you kind of think of like an RPG with an inventory system. Like you have these different armor sets, and you might have to drop like a few of them because you can't carry them all or something. So what kind of objects do they show up as when they're just lying in the world?
So I have a question for the community, which will make Jared cringe, but it could be really good data. If we defaulted your feed to something other than newest,
how would you feel about that?
Keep in mind, we want to make sure that it's not something static, like top rated all time, that never feels like it's moving, because we want people to still find new stuff. What we were thinking was maybe top rated last 7, new and rising, something else. What would everybody feel about defaulting to something other than newest?
And just to, as you guys are typing your answers, just to give you the, a big concern is that we expect a lot of new players coming in, and not that everything created in Project Spark isn't awesome, but not everything, as you know, is awesome. We wouldn't want everybody to see a bunch of Crossroads remix levels as their first experience that they go in and play. So we want to make sure there's good stuff, but we also don't want to make it be something that's static. We want people to see that you guys are uploading things and new things are happening and it's changing. So what are your thoughts on that? Top rated 7 days sounds good.
I wasn't looking over in the chat.
So 3, 4, 5 votes for top rated 7 days.
It's kind of between that and the new and rising one. So if that's what everybody's preference is, that's good to know.
Yeah, and just for the record, like I'm betting on the top rated 7 days horse. I think Jared or Henry was behind the new and rising. So before the stream, I actually bribed everybody to pick the one that I voted for.
Here's the thing. Like, we know there's ratings gate, right? There's still controversy around downvotes, and I knew the community had some salt around the ratings. So it seems like new and rising is a combination of how many downloads you're getting, what the rating is, and stuff like that. it seems like it wouldn't be as reliant on one sort of deterministic factor. So that's why I lean towards that one. Right in between them.
Jesse says New and Rising. See what happens?
See,
I'm always getting ganged up on. So one last thing, because I think we got most questions, and this is just kind of completely out of the blue, and this is mainly you, Henry, and you're going to get this one because you haven't been on the screen in a while. And
What?
this is my way of welcoming you back.
You're
So
just hanging out the back.
we were at PAX, and we had a bunch of great community members. I don't even want to list them all. I'll probably forget somebody. That's pretty. Mescad says, "Can you make a lowest rated feed? I want to be able to find Eric's levels easier." So that was really good. So
Just
here,
search tag music.
so somebody who may or may not have been Sax may have mentioned something about some idea that may happen sometime with Spark that we're, just one of those crazy ideas. So certainly not guaranteed or whatever. But he said it was the idea. And he mentioned this at the table in front of everybody who weren't under an EA, which is why I'm bringing it up.
What? That sounds unlike him.
I know, right? That's totally out of character for him. It was really weird. Maybe he was sick.
Might have been Dax.
But he said that there's, one of the things that we're thinking about long term would be having some form of 2D version or something that allows it easier to do 2D stuff to kind of not always be drawing the 3D aspect.
Well, when Moose came by, I talked to him for a little while, and one of the things I said, sort of, what are the top 3 things you'd want? And it surprised me that one of the biggest things was UI editing and making the UI more flexible and things like that. And I think that gets to sort of some of the stuff that's coming out around the the sci-fi pack and stuff. Is people are looking for cool ways to differentiate their worlds, right? Like I was pretty blown away with the champion grind farm that. I can't remember who it was, DX or something like that, made. And they just wanted to make this champion grind farm, and they didn't own all the champions, so they only put Scarlet and Carl's in there. So they didn't spend a lot of time on it, but they did spend time to make their characters look cel-shaded. So, people want to have their own distinct looks. And I think, when it comes down to the 2D UI, what you'll find out is you can do a lot of really powerful stuff with it, but the time that you put into that suddenly starts going bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger
Right.
to make, more marginal, differences or improvements. So, Reeb has a really cool idea, and I love it because when I was at Nintendo, I loved Mario Paint and worked on some stuff like that. And, he's basically talking about getting a pixel editor and like a 2D snap to grid thing for your UI elements in there.
This is all
super pie.
This is all pie in the sky,
Yeah,
but
this is like.
but it's good to talk about, right? Because like
This
This
is all
is Bureau
after.
Clock.
This is after
Kinda
multiplayer
talk.
on PC kind of thing.
This is Bureau Clock kind of talk.
right,
But Moose was saying it's a big deal, and I think Reeb's got some cool ideas for it. So
That's
it's
cool.
something that we're talking about.
yeah, and I think it's important, guys, to as we're nearing the day when finally this thing goes out, the beta tag's off, it's out on store shelves, Henry's doing a dance, right? As we do that, like people kind of like, well, so now what? And it's like we're looking years down the road on where do we go? And it's like nobody stops doing that, even though we're really busy. So it's like we, hopefully, lots of people get the game and
Yeah.
pre-order the starter pack, and we're like, hey, look, this is popular. We need to keep doing this.
And there'll be some things that you can predict, like sci-fi, and some things you can't, like Conquer.
Yeah, that was certainly
Unpredictable.
that's for sure. But and the thing is, Henry, when I think of that, because I heard about it from Moose. He's like, hey, can I bring this up because it was brought up here, and I'm like, well, yeah, if it was said publicly, and then you can tell us. And he brought it up, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So on the Skype roundtable, I'm like, hey, so what would that mean? So what I was thinking is like, if that happened, right, and that means that we don't have like the 3D, engine and all that stuff behind, then I'm wondering what does that mean for things like Smart Glass or almost like some of the other platforms we'd like to get to, like. Does that, or could that even lead to even a standalone version and things like that? Like, it seems to me like that would open up a space of a lot of possibilities there that we're not really there yet. And to me, I'm like, holy cow, that just changes everything.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple things. Is people can really help form what they want by playing and how they play and what they do, what they make. Right, the levels that we see people making, we're seeing a lot of 2D levels popular. So one of the things in the update to the retail version, we actually added a default 2D brain that you can use in World Wizard. So you can just start off with a side scroller that locks you in a vector for you. So we saw that because we saw people wanted to make 2D games. What people buy, of course, is a good statement. We see conversations in Spark.com where people are talking about this value next to this value next to this value, and stack ranking packs and things like that is great. Like, we learn a lot from it. But at the same time, you hear things like Satya talk about mobile and cloud Microsoft, and there's a lot of Microsoft stuff and a lot of Microsoft technology that, even though we are really well embedded with things like cross-platform, buy once, play anywhere, you can buy something on PC and it shows up on your Xbox One, there's still a lot of other Microsoft technologies to leverage, and a lot of other secret things that Microsoft Research is doing that we can leverage. Out of nowhere, we started doing Kinect Capture, right? What if we started doing a motion capture studio or something out of Spark? So,
right, and that's the thing. We never know what's going to come out of these crazy scientists.
People have asked for importing things, stuff like that. That stuff is all hopefully going to be defined by the audience and what happens post-release and all of those.
What tech comes up, right?
Yeah.
So it's really cool, and it's important to be like an agile team. And this is sort of where a difference from like a game as a service, because really we're running a service and a platform when you ultimately think about it, versus, hey, okay, you make the game, kick it out, let's start working on the sequel. So we're always going to be improving, and as the tech evolves and as you guys evolve in what you're doing and what the community wants, we're going to kind of move in that direction and go with which way the tide's going to try to support that. So it makes for exciting times, but it also puts a lot of power in your guys' hands to figure out what do you want to do. So it's pretty cool.
That's right. And Swarm was commenting on something. Yes, for right now you need premium to launch multiplayer. We did that for a bunch of reasons. There was a couple of ideas on how could we really convey that this is not ready for prime time, but it's something really cool that we wanted to give people a sneak peek at, and we knew we couldn't take a heavy stress load to destroy our servers. There was ideas around like a giant code, and we know how the beta code thing went. So
wasn't there was a point where you had to go to the prop gallery and search for multiplayer
and then put in
the
code.
prop gallery.
But then even then the code wasn't finite, so we really had to sort of find something that was a little bit more controllable and finite. But when the full game comes out, you will not be required to have that for multiplayer. You will be required, just like everything else on Xbox One right now, to have gold for multiplayer. But we won't require premium. And then a couple people asking, October 7th in the US is the starter pack disc release that comes with a whole bunch of cool stuff on it for $39.99.
Right. And you can pre-order it now. I have to keep, Raul told me I have to keep
favorite
saying
retailer.
that. I had to keep poking that. Because
for anyone on the East Coast, Crazy Eddie!
Yeah, and
Crazy
are we going to do any midnight events? Are we going to...
A midnight stream?
Yeah, midnight stream?
That'd be kind of fun.
That'd be fun.
That would be kind of fun, actually. Wow.
You can see us put in the disc and get the update.
Let's do midnight Eastern time.
That's right, midnight Eastern time.
Well, hopefully everything works and it doesn't look like this stream. We're like, oh wait, hold on. Well,
Jared, we'll do it live in the main room, so like if anything happens, these people run by.
Oh no, that would be awesome. But yeah, seriously, on the multiplayer thing, guys, like I was a big proponent of that, of having it behind premium, because I care about the narrative and making sure we're getting things clearly out to people. My big fear is people would go in and try multiplayer, which is super rough. As those of you who have tried it know, right? It's super early, super rough.
We're testing out. I think it was last time Tom was talking to us on one of our phone calls about they've already, since before we even released it, in the next update to Spark, we'd already fixed over like 200 bugs in multiplayer. So. Yeah,
so basically I didn't want anybody new or anybody that didn't understand what they were getting into to look at that and then go write a review and, it becomes multiplayer gate or something,
And as Mascad pointed out, there's a bit of work that it takes to set up an online multiplayer game right now.
And a lot of this is already fixed, just not in the version you guys have, so we just wanted to err on the side of caution for that. So, but like Henry said, when multiplayer's finished, it's going to be available for everybody. So everybody on Xbox One.
Yep. All right,
guys. So we're going to go. We're a little long. Sorry for the delay. We appreciate you guys sticking with us, and we will be back next week with CQ and maybe some of the stuff we were supposed to show you today, but we couldn't.
Actually demonstrate it for you.
Mike is ordering a Tandy right now, I think.
Well, yeah, but they were asking what was happening, and I said, well, they're like, "What's going on? What do you guys have?" And I said, "Well, Jared forgot to rewind the cassette drive, and now we gotta wait. He's gonna start from the beginning."
Right.
So.
If you see the DOS shell come up, you know that Mike is in charge.
DOS 6.2, baby. I'd still run that if I could.
Giant stack of floppy disks.
And I will get achievements posted to a blog that I'm sure Mike will put up in a timely manner.
Yeah.
You mean Zach?
Zach will put up in a timely manner.
He does all the work.
Zach
now.
will put up in a timely manner.
Yeah. Not me. It'll be
all right.
month.
Now
All right.
and you'll lament things. I'll hear some story about papyrus or something in between.
Back in my day. All right. Thanks, guys.
Everybody.
Now we gotta pretend to talk.
Because they can still see us.
Because Zach hasn't. We used to have tech that we could mute it. Zach isn't. He hasn't his tech tree hasn't. He hasn't skilled up enough to have a tech tree to mute it.
I can do the stone cold.
I thought they don't hear us anyway, so it didn't matter.
What we should do is the stone cold.
Well, you don't know that. It's still live, right? So basically, the theory is when you hit stop.
So we should.